In the previous video, we read in this pandas data frame from a CSV file, this cars data frame. And let me show you how we can find what are the different values. So what are like the distinct values in a particular column. So let's look at this cylinders column. And we can access that by using df square brackets cylinders. That's a nice abbreviated way to get it. A longer way is you could say df.loc : which means give me all the rows and then cylinders. That's another way. Another way that doesn't work 100% of the time, but as long as the name of the column is just some single word without spaces, not starting with a number, then this way will work. So you can use df.cylinders with no quotation marks. Those are a bunch of different ways to access this column, which is named cylinders. And so the one I use the most is this one. So let me copy that, and let me save it with the name. How about C for column? And what type of thing is this? It's a pandas series. And what I want to know are what are the different numbers that show up in here? So you can see that the data type of the entries are integers. And I want to know what are the different integers that show up. So I can see that 8 shows up and that 4 shows up. There are probably 406 total entries, especially if we count missing entries in that number. Then I want to know okay, well, are there more than 2 distinct numbers that show up here? So maybe the first way that might come to your mind based on what we've done so far in Math 10 is to convert it into a set, which, remember, that removes duplicates. And this is a perfectly good way. It's probably not quite as efficient as some of the other ways I'm going to show you, but this works well. If you also want to know not just what numbers show up, but also how often do each of them show up, then you can use this method called value counts. We worked with this in a homework, I believe, and the result is also a pandas series. The left-hand side, these keys, they are the same as these numbers here, so they are the values that show up. So sort of confusing that values in C become keys in this value counts. And then for each of those, then the corresponding value is going to be how often did it appear in the data frame. So for example, or in the series, I should say. So I can use this. Let me call this, how about VC for value counts? And then I could do VC bracket 4. Do you see what I'm doing wrong? So it says key error, there is no 4. Well, the problem is I should do it as an integer, okay? Because these things are integers, not as a string. And so this is telling me the number 4 appears in this series 207 times. Okay, cool. Let's check that another way. I can say, C, my column. Let me just remind you what it looks like. I can say C equals 4. This gives me a Boolean array where it's false when they're not equal, true where they are equal. And then if I do sum for this, if we were back in NumPy, we do count non-zero, but in pandas, I usually do sum. And here's that same 207 number. One last way that I'll show you before ending the video that's closer to this set portion is I can do c.unique. And I'm sure this is faster than value counts because it's getting me less information. It's just telling me what are the different entries that occur. It's not trying to tell me how many there are, just like set didn't. So this set, it converted from a pandas series into a set. This one, let's see, it's probably converting it into what's called a pandas array, which is not something I've ever worked with before. Oh no, it converts it into a NumPy array. Okay, so that is the type of NumPy object that we're used to. Okay, good. Yeah, that is all I will say in this video. Thank you for watching.